Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am your Muse Traci. I am your favorite manifestation coach, and I am here to inspire you and empower you to live the life of your dreams, to create on purpose exactly what you want in all areas of your life, to stop settling and to stop suffering. You are not here to suffer. If that sounds good to you, you are more than welcome to subscribe to my channel. I offer a one-on-one coaching program to help you transform and revolutionize your life in all areas. In this coaching program, we will take a deep dive into your belief system and do the work to change the programming so that it will be the last coaching that you need. We work together in a very intense fashion, 2 to 3 times a week. In between the sessions, you have your own work to do, some homework, if you will. And of course, you have access to me by email if there's anything in between the sessions that is coming up for you. By the end, you will understand effortless manifesting, and you will be, again, transforming and revolutionizing every area of your life. We're not just working on one area. We're not just working on a specific person. It's all areas. It's what you believe. It's mostly what you believe about yourself and, abundance, what you believe about money, what you believe about your worth in general. So really transforming your life, because again, when you get to a certain point of learning about manifesting and you do start to understand it's all responding to you, it's all your creation, then you will also learn that you have to stop stepping over yourself. You have to stop looking outside, trying to get, whether it's money, relationship, love, acceptance. You have to realize that you cannot jump over yourself, step over yourself, skip yourself and get. It just doesn't work. Your results will be minimal, if anything at all. And then most likely you will have a difficult time enjoying your manifestation. Okay, so send me an email or comment down below if you're interested in learning more. And let's get into the video for today. So this is another remake of a similar video that I've done before, and this one was also highly requested and something that I've been talking a lot about in my one-on-one coaching sessions. And I do often record my videos on what I've been talking about, what's been like a theme in the week, and a theme with people that I'm working with, and there is typically a theme. So this video is all about your evidence is not found in the 3D, okay? And it's going to be jam-packed. I have quotes that I'm going to read from a few different of my favorite authors and some things that are going to help you understand this concept more and help you to integrate this concept more. Because here's what I don't want, you guys. Now, if I could have also called this video Circumstances Don't Matter, right? In a way, kind of. I don't want it to be like a catchphrase where you're like, yeah, circumstances don't matter, but I'm still really traumatized and really reacting to this thing going on. The catchphrase doesn't matter then, because it's not really helping you. What I want you to develop is a deeper understanding and a way to integrate. If you want to use a catchphrase, you can, but I want you to be able to integrate it and be it, right? This is what Neville talks about. It doesn't matter if you know intellectually these teachings. Really, it's not really that much different if you know it, but you don't know how to apply it, or you're not able to be it. It's not that much different than not knowing it, honestly. So what you're trying to do once you learn all of these teachings, what Neville is teaching, law of assumption, you create your own reality, creation is finished, everything is available, everything is already yours, right? Trying to integrate that and live from that place, embody being that person who can live from the place of operating from the teachings, operating from circumstances don't matter rather than just saying it. Again, yeah, circumstances don't matter, but I'm still completely spiraling because of something that is happening in my 3D reality. Well, what you're saying and what you're being in that case is very different. It's very different. Okay, so we're going to get into this video, this topic, and starting off with a quote from Neville. Okay, you are already that which you want to be, and your refusal to believe it is the only reason you do not see it. Okay, so the evidence of you being the thing that you want to be, that you now claim that you want to be, you desire to be, is not first found in your 3D reality. And if you keep looking for the evidence before you accept it, it can't show up, right? It can't. That's just kind of the nature of how this works. And that is the very thing that keeps a lot of people stuck, needing the evidence to be there. And then you say, okay, now I can assume that that is who I am. That's who they are. That's what the circumstance is. That is the very thing that holds you back. And I totally get it. I totally get it. This is how most people spent most of their life, myself included. I spent most of my life looking outside. Well, first of all, thinking that the world, 3D reality, lives, people was just happening to me. And like to a really extreme level, you guys. I mean, just to share a little bit more about me and my total journey at one point, and um, to an advanced age, without saying the exact age, I didn't even know that my emotions were my responsibility. Okay. So that's how far I've come. I really didn't think that, and again, not really my fault. It's just kind of how I was raised. Other people around me made their emotions my responsibility. So of course, that's what I learned. Okay, then my emotions must be other people's responsibility because I'm responsible for how they feel. Okay, cool. So then everyone else around me must be responsible how I feel for how I feel. So that's what I was taught, but obviously that is number one, not very empowering. Number two, a direct road to a lot of disappointment because other people are not responsible for my feelings. Okay, so I know that a lot of you have probably heard that saying before, that quote from Neville. So if that is true, then okay, we want to look at why aren't things turning out better, right? Let me read the quote again. You are already that which you want to be, which you choose to be, and your refusal to believe it. I would even say your refusal to assume it is the only reason you do not see it, because you don't have to believe, but you do need to assume that you already are that which you want to be. Okay, so why isn't it, why isn't everything sort of panning out more easily, more preferably then? And the thing we have to look at is your beliefs. Your current reality is sort of showing you your dominant belief system, showing you what you believe, showing you what you have previously assumed to be true, right? And if you go about the task of changing your assumption, but you find changing your assumption very difficult because the evidence is still showing you the old assumption, and you're needing the evidence to change before you change your assumption, well, you are stuck. You are stuck. Okay. But the message that I'm trying to deliver with this video is that you do not need to have evidence in order to change your assumption. This is your free will. This is your gift, if you will. The freedom to change your assumptions to anything at all that you would prefer to experience, anything at all. Okay, the next thing that we want to look at are emotions. So, dominant and recurring emotions, if you're struggling with thinking, the lovely thoughts, your new assumption about what you would love to experience, if you're struggling with blame, if you're referring back to your old story, the current circumstances, then it's like we need to look at why, because I know this is happening for a lot of people when they try to choose a different story, they keep getting pulled back into the old story by their consciousness. It's not them trying to do it, but it becomes this like ping pong back and forth in their mind, right? So this is a lot of times due to unresolved and unprocessed emotions. So, the emotions, if you didn't process the emotions from some previous event or previous circumstance, your previous assumption, if you didn't process the emotions, if you stuff them down, then, and they're just sort of like existing below the surface, those tether you to that old version. And your emotion, the unprocessed emotion, will keep feeding you thoughts from that emotion and bringing you back to the old circumstance, the old story. Okay. So I'm going to read another quote. This one is by Dr. David Hawkins, and he is an author and he teaches how to process emotions in his book called Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender. Amazing book. I highly recommend it. Okay, so the quote is, "The mind, with its thoughts, is driven by feelings. Each feeling is the cumulative derivative of many thousands of thoughts. Because most people throughout their lives repress, suppress, and try to escape their feelings, the suppressed energy accumulates and seeks expression through psychosomatic distress, bodily disorders, emotional illnesses, and disordered behavior in interpersonal relationships. The accumulated feelings block spiritual growth and awareness, as well as success in many areas of your life." So, again, this is another part of the process that is so important. And I think it's another part of the process that is oftentimes misunderstood, right? In the mostly in law of attraction teachings, but also sometimes with law of assumption, right? With law of attraction, it's get high vibe, get happy, and what you want will be there. And then with the law of assumption, it's like feeling is the secret, right? Feel like you would if you had your desire. And I'm not saying those things are wrong. Of course, those are right. Those are how you get to your desired end. But we're not getting there by suppressing another feeling if another feeling is already present. Okay. Now, your feelings follow your thoughts. So if you have a negative feeling, it's already there. Let's look at it. Let's process it. Rather than stuffing it back down and denying it, look at it. It's already there. Okay. Now, if you're just having like a negative sort of dialogue and you're focused on negative things to where you're now creating the negative emotions, right? That's not ideal. Okay, so we do want to choose our thoughts, choose our focus, and have it be where we want to go. And your emotions will follow that. But again, when you have an emotion that's already there, it needs to be processed. It needs to be felt so that it's not being repressed or suppressed, and it's not going to feed thoughts from that negative emotion. Okay, very, very important. All right. So, what is next? Okay, so the next thing, and this is again from David Hawkins, is talking about fear. And I want to talk about this as well. So, I'll read his quote first. "The more fear we have on the inside, the more our perception of the world is changed to a fearful, guarded expectancy. To the fearful person, this world is a terrifying place. To the angry person, this world is a chaos of frustration and vexation. To the guilty person, it is a world of temptation and sin, which they see everywhere. What we are holding inside colors our world. If we let go of guilt, we see innocence. However, a guilt-ridden person will see only evil. The basic rule is that we focus on what we have repressed." Oh my gosh, amazing, you guys. Amazing insight into what is feeding your dominant thoughts, what is feeding your recurring thoughts, what is feeding your fear, right? This is it, the repressed emotion going on inside of you, and it's continuously feeding this idea of fear. The world is against us. It's a terrifying place. We have to be guarded. We have to be protected in some way, right? So looking at what is below the surface, that is what has been repressed, that's feeding us to be so fearful. Okay. So we must lovingly use our imagination to embody the reality that we would love to experience. Like I was talking about in the beginning of the video, knowing is not enough. We're trying to be it, right? We're trying to embody it. We're trying to put it into practice, act from that place. Okay. And what I'm really talking about is the assumption that our consciousness is the real reality, number one, and our consciousness is the source of everything that we see outpictured. Then you don't need the evidence on the outside to make your assumption. You understand your freedom, you understand your free will is to assume whatever you want, and it will get outpictured if you persist. If you persist through seemingly opposite reflections, right? I said this in one of my videos. I think it was like 2 videos ago. If you are relying on the evidence being in your 3D reality, that means you are taking your cue from your 3D reality, but your 3D reality has already taken its cue from you. And so you're taking your cue from something that's taking its cue from you. When you take the cue, it goes back out. You're casting it forward for it to be displayed again. And then when you see it out there, then you will take your cue again. This is how we get into loops. The way you break out of loops is by breaking out in your consciousness, breaking out in your mind, right? So let man disregard appearances and declare that he is now the man that he wants to be. Again, this is another quote from Neville. So I told you guys it was jam-packed with so many quotes. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So now we've come full circle. So the evidence is not out there. The evidence is your faith. Faith is the evidence. Your faith in the unseen is how you get to it being outpictured. That's the evidence, you guys. It's inside of you. This just takes practice. It just takes understanding and viewing your 3D reality for what it really is. It's the reflection. And again, this takes practice, okay? And so start to go through your day, even when there's nothing triggering, especially when there's nothing triggering. Start with that. Don't try to practice when you're being triggered. Don't let that be the time when you are like trying to practice this new skill. No, practice it when there's nothing triggering you, when it's sort of like mundane things around you, and see how you can start to develop this mindset, this perspective, this lens that you're looking through on a very regular basis. Right? So again, the quote from Neville, let man disregard appearances and declare that he is now the man that he wants to be. The ideal is always waiting to be incarnated. You guys hear that? The ideal is always waiting to be incarnated. But unless we ourselves offer the idea to God, our consciousness, by assuming that we are already that which we seek to embody, it is incapable of birth. I know that's a lot of like words. Basically, what he's saying, if I were to rephrase it and paraphrase it, it's like you have to go first in assuming the ideal. You have to go first, assume the ideal, and then it will be incarnated, to use the word that he used here, or it will be outpictured, right? But it is incapable of being outpictured unless you first give it to yourself. You assume it yourself. You embody it within yourself. You accept it in your consciousness. So important, you guys. So many of you are still looking for the evidence out there, not sure that you are. I've been hearing this a lot this week. I don't know if I'm powerful enough. I don't know if I can change enough. You don't have to change at all. You're already perfect. Your beliefs and your thoughts about reality and about yourself are really what have to change. That's it. You're already perfect. It's the way you're interpreting and viewing reality that you're trying to change. And of course, you can change that. That's not hard. That just takes practice. That takes understanding. It takes embodying, being the teachings, not just hearing them and thinking that it sounds good. That's a really good start. I think we all start there, but then you have to practice actually, putting it into practice and being it. Okay. So, going on with the quotes here, this is another quote from Neville. Facts based upon reason and the evidence of the senses, which oppose the idea seeking expression, rob you of the belief and the reality you desire. I'm going to read it again. Again, I know it gets really wordy with Neville, but it's so impactful. Okay. Facts based upon reason and the evidence of the senses, right? So he's saying if you base your facts, your assumptions on logic or on evidence in the 3D, which oppose the idea seeking expression, which oppose your desired outcome, this robs you of the belief and the reality that you desire, right? So he's saying if you keep basing your assumption on the evidence of the senses, then you're robbing yourself of the idea that is seeking expression. I couldn't have said it better myself. Right? It's simple. It's not always easy, but it's simple, okay? And so one of the things that I would tell myself when I was really trying to master this, because I did struggle with this as well. I struggled with persisting and I struggled with reacting. So, I would tell myself when I was persisting without any evidence, I would remind myself because I would get a little tap on the shoulder like, hey, we're persisting and like looks the same out there. I don't know if this is working. Maybe we should do something different. Maybe we're doing something wrong. I had all of that going on, you guys, all of that. I totally understand. But here's what I would tell myself. I would tell myself, I've done that back and forth, persisting, looking for evidence, not seeing it, wondering what I've done that for long enough. I know what that gets me. It doesn't get me very far. So I don't have any proof, but I'm going to try something different because I do know intellectually how this works. I do know my consciousness is the only reality. What I do in here, what I assume in here will eventually get outpictured if I stay committed to it. I know that intellectually. Now I just got to put it into practice. And it was scary. And I was at the moment, okay, we're doing it. But, I just had to try it out. I had to commit to doing it, to being it. And guess what happened? It got outpictured and I, had all the reasons to stop persisting. I had opposite evidence. I had old things showing up in my reality. And I had to just remind myself, no, it's okay. My consciousness is the real reality. My consciousness is the real reality. Out there is the reflection. And so if I keep persisting, it must get outpictured. There's nothing else going on. There's nothing else going on. Right. And again, I wasn't, I'm not saying that I didn't feel anything about the opposite reflection. I might have felt a twinge, I knew that I didn't like what was showing up. But again, I knew that if I allow what's showing up to make me assume something different, to change from my assumption, to be swayed from my assumption, that's me doing that. And guess what's going to get outpictured? More of the cycle that I had been in, right? If I took my cue from what was out there. Okay. So this is the level that it takes. And again, if you have a lot of negative beliefs in your programming about you, this will be infinitely harder. Okay. Let me tell you why. Because what is showing up in your 3D reality can only trigger you if it exists in your belief system. It can only break you, or make you spiral, or make you change what you think, feel, and believe if that was already in your belief system to begin with. Okay. And I'm not even talking about exactly the circumstance. I'm talking about the belief in you that the circumstance is triggering in you to make you react, to make you feel bad. It's reinforcing that belief inside of you that is a lie. That's why it feels bad. Okay. Am I making sense, you guys? So if you have a lot of those negative beliefs inside of you going on, if you haven't worked on your programming, if you haven't done the work in changing your beliefs, this whole persisting and not reacting is much harder, because whatever is out there is only triggering to you if you have the beliefs inside of you, right? The example that I oftentimes use is if someone in your 3D says to you, hey, you look like today you have 3 heads. You're not triggered because there's nothing in your belief system, I don't think, that says you have 3 heads. You don't have an insecurity like, oh God, is my 2 extra heads popping out today? Right? You don't have that belief going on inside of you. So when someone in your reality says that to you, no effect, no effect. And this can happen with everything. This can happen with everything. If it's not penetrating you, if it's not resonating with you, you'll just be like, well, that's a funny thing to say, right? But you won't take ownership of it because it doesn't exist within you. We're only triggered by the things that are still going on inside of us. Again, very enlightening. What better way to get to know ourselves than by seeing it and then noticing, wow, I'm being triggered by this. Oh, okay. Well, then what's going on inside of me? What do I believe that this is so triggering? And you see, the illusion, the part of the illusion that you're trying to break is that we think that we're triggered by the other person. We think that it's the other person that is making us, not like it, but it's really our own belief that we don't like. Okay. All right, you guys. So lots of amazing quotes and hopefully inspiration and hopefully clarity. I don't hope, I intend that it's all very helpful, very clarifying for you. And you start to, practice putting this into practice, not needing the evidence in the 3D. You don't need the evidence there. The evidence comes after you. You always have to go first. All right, leave me a comment down below and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.